The Emperor Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, or just Nero for short, was a cruel man. He killed his mother, his first wife, and his second wife. Legend says that he fiddled while Rome burned. But Nero's eventual suicide would lead to chaos in the Roman Empire. Who should become emperor next? For the first time, the question was decided outside of Rome, even outside of Italy. Betrayal, murder, and chaos. The year of the four emperors tonight on The Mystery of History.
Oh, hello there. I was just looking through a copy of Gibbon's Rome. Gibbon doesn't actually cover the year of the four emperors. It's just before the time that he gets into. But it is a very important time period. And the first person that we should talk about is the Emperor Nero. Nero was the last of the Julio-Claudian emperors that began with Augustus, Julius Caesar's nephew. Nero was someone who was very, very powerful. All the power in Rome had clustered around Nero, and he pretty much was allowed to do whatever he wanted to do. Nero even performed in the Olympic Games, in the Pythian Games, all the Pan-Hellenic Games. Of course, he won every contest that he entered, particularly chariot racing. In those days, the Olympic Games also consisted of poetry and playing different musical instruments and such, but Nero won them all, anything that he entered. Nero loved Greece. He spoke Greek. He loved all those sorts of things. He performed on stage. He recited poetry. He was greatly loved by the common people for much of his reign. The reasons for that are plenty, but one of the main reasons is that he threw so many games and entertained the common people of Rome. It's hard for us to imagine today with our television and radio, people have the ear pods that they put in their ears. You can hear music instantaneously, whatever music that you want. The people of the ancient world, really, if they wanted to be entertained, they only had themselves, or they had to go and see something. In order to see something, somebody had to put it on. So for Nero to provide money for those sorts of games and shows made him greatly popular in the empire. One of the turning points in Nero's reign was the Great Fire of Rome, which many people held him accountable for. They blamed Nero for that. The legend says that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. And actually, Nero was not even in Rome at the time of the fire, and the fiddle was not even invented yet. So many people see that as legend, but the metaphor means that Nero did nothing to stop the Roman fire. And what made things worse is that a lot of the area that was destroyed in Rome, instead of rebuilding it for the people, Nero decided to put his golden palace on that area that had been cleared by fire. Nero blamed the fire on the Christians, who were a powerless religious sect at that point. So Nero was greatly unpopular towards the end of his reign, particularly with the Senate, people who looked down upon the common people of Rome, and Nero eventually died. So why are we talking about Nero? Because he was the last person to hold power in Rome before the year of the four emperors.
With the death of Nero in 68 AD, Rome needed an emperor. Though already over 70, extremely old by ancient standards, or extremely lucky, the governor of Spain, Servius Galba, bribed enough of the Praetorian Guard and senators to become emperor. Galba was the first emperor not related to Julius Caesar or Claudius. Almost immediately, the Roman legions of Germany rebelled against Galba. They declared their general, Vitellius, as emperor. Galba's friend Otho, seeking an opportunity, murdered Galba and assumed the throne. Galba had only been emperor for 7 months. The new emperor, Otho, marched towards Germany to confront Vitellius. He was defeated in battle and took his own life. Otho had only been emperor for 3 months. Vitellius then declared himself emperor with the help of his soldiers. He threw lavish games for all the people of Rome and was very popular. Just like Nero, he wanted the support of the common people. And just like Nero, he made many enemies. The Roman legions in the east, particularly in the Levant, were jealous of Vitellius's popularity. They nominated their own general, Vespasian, as emperor and marched on Rome. Vitellius was captured and executed, and Vespasian was declared emperor. Vespasian would be one of the most successful Roman emperors. He reformed Roman finances, built the famous Colosseum, which was called the Flavian Amphitheater in his honor, and defeated the Jewish revolt in Judea. Vespasian also founded the Flavian dynasty, which would rule the empire for 27 years. He was the first Roman emperor to be followed by his biological son. The Year of the Four Emperors was the first civil war in the Roman Empire. It established a new way to transfer power, through the legions. This would set a dangerous precedent and become an intensely destabilizing factor for Rome. It frightened many Romans that power was coming from outside of Italy rather than inside. In the coming centuries, the soldiers would crown and kill many more emperors, leading to a crisis of leadership.
Okay, so I hope that made the Year of the Four Emperors pretty clear for you. It was one of the most important events in the Roman Empire. It was the first civil war in the Empire of Rome. There have been civil wars before that, but those civil wars, most notably between Julius Caesar and Pompey, or between Mark Antony and Octavian, those were during the times of the Republic. So this is the first time since the empire had been established that there was a wide-scale civil war like this. I wouldn't say this started the decline of the Roman Empire, because after the Year of the Four Emperors, we have Vespasian, who had a very successful reign along with his dynasty, the Flavian dynasty. And then you had, of course, the 5 good emperors who would come along later. But it was a sign of something that was to come, particularly in the crisis of the 3rd century in the Roman Empire. But that's a tale for another time. So I hope that you enjoyed learning about the Year of the Four Emperors. It's a very interesting topic, and everything that happened with it. And thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, then go ahead and smash that like button or subscribe. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.